There's a weapon used in relationships that has no sound. It leaves no visible marks. It's not the raised voice or the slammed door. It's the silence after the door is closed. It's the sigh. It's the tear that rolls down a cheek just as you're trying to make a point. We're talking, of course, about guilt. And in the complex dance of human connection, it is perhaps the most effective and the most devastating tool of emotional control. Tonight, we're going to talk about the uncomfortable truth of how this weapon is sometimes wielded, specifically how it can be used by women to control men. And, more importantly, we're going to talk about how to recognize it, how to find the antidote, and how to break free. This isn't a conversation about blame. It's not about demonizing anyone. This is a late night therapy session, a look behind the curtain. Because if this dynamic feels familiar, it's because you or someone you know has lived it. You felt that quiet, cold knot forming in your stomach, the sudden sinking feeling that you are once again the bad guy, even when you can't figure out what you did wrong. Guilt is a quiet leash, and the devastating part is that most men wear it willingly. They mistake it for love. They mistake it for conscience. They mistake it for the simple, decent desire to be a good partner. And that right there is where the manipulation finds its foothold. It targets your goodness. It leverages your desire to protect, to provide, to make things right. How does it function? It's a subtle form of emotional leverage. It's not a direct request. A direct request is honest. I need you to listen to me. I feel hurt when you say that. That is communication. Guilt is the opposite. It's a passive transmission of displeasure designed to make you figure out what she wants and then willingly give it to her. It's a test. And it's a test you can never pass because the rules are always changing. The true goal isn't resolution, it's compliance. It's a way of conditioning a partner, of training them, much like you'd train an animal, through negative reinforcement. When you do something wrong, affection is withdrawn. When you do something right, which usually means apologizing, conceding, or surrendering a boundary, affection is restored. Love becomes a reward for good behavior. And that's the beginning of the end for genuine intimacy. Let's talk about the specific behaviors, the tactics. They are often subtle and they are powerful. The most common, of course, is silence. Not a peaceful, comfortable silence, but a heavy, weaponized quiet. It's the silence that fills a room, that makes the sound of the clock ticking seem deafening. It's an active withdrawal. You ask, what's wrong? And the answer is, nothing. But the nothing is delivered with a weight that says everything. It's a vacuum, and human nature abhors a vacuum. As a man, you are often socialized to be the fixer. So you rush in to fill that vacuum. You start apologizing. You start guessing. Was it what I said about dinner? Are you mad I was late? You become a detective in your own home, hunting for a crime you didn't even know you committed. And with every guess, you are giving away your power. She doesn't have to say a word. She just has to wait for you to negotiate against yourself. Then there are the tears. This is a difficult one to discuss because a woman's tears are a sacred and powerful expression of genuine pain, vulnerability, or frustration, and they should be met with empathy and comfort. But in the context of dark psychology, we must also acknowledge the performative tear, the tear that appears with uncanny timing, precisely at the moment you are holding her accountable or stating a boundary. It's the sudden shift from a rational argument to a complete emotional breakdown. The conversation is no longer about the issue at hand, your valid complaint, your need, your boundary. It is now suddenly about her pain. The script is flipped. You were the one who was hurt, and now you are the one inflicting hurt. You are cast as the aggressor, the bully, for simply trying to express yourself. And what do? You back down, you retreat, you apologize. The original issue is never resolved, and you have just learned that your needs are secondary to her emotional reactions. This leads directly to emotional reversal, a tactic where you are made to feel guilty for her actions. Let's say she breaks a promise. You bring it up calmly. You say, hey, you said you would do this, and you didn't. That hurt my feelings. The manipulative response isn't, you're right, I'm sorry. It is, I can't believe you're attacking me right now. You know how much stress I'm under. I do everything for this family, and all you can do is criticize me. I can't even talk to you when you're being like this. And just like that, you are on the defensive. You're no longer the one who was let down. You are the one who is insensitive, demanding, and cruel. You end up apologizing to her for bringing up her mistake. It's a brilliant, disorienting maneuver that leaves you questioning your own reality. And then there's the selective memory, the revision of history. It's the use of an emotional archive where your failures are cataloged with perfect clarity and your successes are conveniently forgotten. It's the you always and the you never. You always put your friends before me. You never listen to me. These absolutes are not meant to be accurate. They are meant to be indictments. They paint a picture of you as a perpetually failing partner. And when you are constantly presented with this narrative of your own inadequacy, you start to believe it. You lose track of the truth. You just remember the feeling that you are constantly and perhaps hopelessly falling short, that you are the one who is always difficult, while she is the one who is always patient and long suffering. The psychological impact of this over time is devastating. It begins with self doubt. You live in a fog of low level anxiety, always braced for the next emotional landmine. You start to second guess your own perceptions. Did I say that wrong? Am I being unreasonable? Maybe I am selfish. You lose your own internal compass. Your sense of self, your I, begins to dissolve. This is followed by a profound loss of agency. You stop living proactively and start living reactively. Your choices are no longer guided by your values, your desires, or your goals. They are guided by a single, dominating question. What will she do if I do this? You don't go out with your friends, not because you don't want to, but because you've already calculated the cost, the 2 days of silence, the passive aggressive comments. You don't pursue that hobby, not because you're not interested, but because you know it will be met with sighs and accusations of neglecting her. Your world shrinks pixel by pixel until it's just the two of you in that small, airless room of her emotional approval. And perhaps most tragically, your affection becomes guilt conditioned. You find yourself being extra nice, not from a place of genuine, spontaneous love, but from a place of debt. You're trying to pay off the guilt from a fight yesterday, or even prepay to avoid a fight tomorrow. You buy flowers as a peace offering, not a celebration. You offer a massage as a bribe for a peaceful evening. Love, which should be the most freeing emotion, becomes a currency. It's a transaction, and you are always in debt. You're no longer a partner, you're a performer, desperately trying to win the approval of an audience of one. You start to feel a creeping resentment, which you then feel guilty about, and the entire toxic loop reinforces itself. You're trapped. Now, why does this happen? It is essential if we are to heal to approach this with empathy. This is not, in most cases, the behavior of a calculating villainous monster. It is almost always the behavior of someone in deep, profound pain. A woman who uses guilt as her primary tool is often deeply insecure. She doesn't trust that you will stay of your own free will. She doesn't believe at her core that she is enough to keep you. So she has to manage you. The guilt is a chain, a way to keep you close. If you feel too guilty to leave, it's a form of security. It's a deeply dysfunctional and tragic attempt to create certainty in a life defined by a fear of abandonment. It can also be a learned behavior, a desperate need for a power that she feels she lacks in other areas of her life. Perhaps she feels unseen, unheard, or unvalued by the world. The relationship becomes the one dominion where she can exert influence. Making you feel small is the only way she knows how to feel big. Your compliance becomes her validation. Your guilt is proof that she matters. And of course, it's also a pattern learned from her own upbringing. She may have watched her own mother use these same tools on her father, and she simply learned that this is how love works. This is how you handle a man. This is what intimacy is. She isn't just trapping you. She is trapped herself in a cycle of behavior that will never, ever give her the true, trusting, vulnerable connection she actually craves. It's a hollow victory every single time. And so both partners are caught in this invisible dynamic, this sad dance. He dances to appease, she dances to control, and the music is a song of mutual unspoken misery. So, how do you break free? How do you heal from this? The first step, the most important step, is recognition. It's the moment you're in right now. It's the aha moment, the click of the lock. It's the ability to pause right in the middle of that familiar, sickening feeling of guilt and to name it. To say to yourself, this isn't my conscience. This is a tactic. You must learn to separate healthy guilt, the feeling you get when you have genuinely violated your own moral code, from manipulative guilt, which is the feeling of violating someone else's unspoken, unfair, and constantly moving expectations. Once you can see it, your response has to change. The old way was to either get angry, which just adds fuel to the fire and casts you as the out of control one, or to immediately surrender and apologize. The new way is to be calm and to be still. You must become an emotional gray rock. You do not engage with the manipulation. You do not argue. You do not defend yourself against the absurd accusations. You simply and calmly state your reality. When she says, "You obviously don't care about me," the old you would say, "That's not true. I do care. Look at all the things I do." The new you says, "I'm sorry you feel that way. I know that I care about you and I am not going to argue about my own feelings." When she gives you the silent treatment, you don't chase her, you don't beg. You give her space and you say calmly, "I can tell you're upset, and I'm here to talk when you're ready to tell me what's wrong without blaming me. In the meantime, I'm going to go read a book." This is where you introduce the most powerful tool for emotional freedom, the boundary. A boundary is not a wall to keep people out. It's a gate and you control who opens it. It's a clear, calm statement of what you will and will not accept. I am happy to listen to you, but I will not be yelled at. I am willing to take responsibility for my actions, but I will not take responsibility for your emotions. I will not participate in a conversation where I am being blamed for things that are not my fault. The first time you do this, it will feel like the world is ending. The pushback will be immense. The tears, the accusations of being cold, the anger, it will all be turned up to 10. This is called an extinction burst. It's the panic of the manipulator when they feel their control slipping. You must hold the line. It's the most terrifying and the most freeing thing you will ever do. And the only way to hold that line is to build your own self-worth, independent of her. You have to find your value outside of her approval. Her happiness can no longer be the sole measure of your success as a man. You must have your own hobbies, your own friends, your own values, your own center of gravity. When you are rooted in your own sense of self, you are no longer a leaf to be blown about by the winds of her moods. You can stand firm and you can love her without being consumed by her. You can have empathy for her pain without being blackmailed by it. And what about her? What about the woman who is wielding this weapon? Her healing path is perhaps even harder because it requires a brutal level of self-awareness. She must be willing to look at her own behavior and ask, why am I doing this? What am I so afraid of? She has to face the deep-seated insecurity and fear of abandonment that fuels this. She must learn the terrifying art of being vulnerable. She must learn to ask for what she needs instead of manipulating to get it. To say, I'm feeling insecure and I need some reassurance, instead of picking a fight so that you'll comfort her. It's the difference between asking for a hug and punching someone in the arm so they'll pay attention to you. It's a long road, but it's the only one that leads to real, secure love. Can a relationship like this be rebuilt? Yes, but it's a detox. It requires both partners to show up with a new, radical honesty. It means he has to be willing to hold his boundaries, and she has to be willing to respect them. It means rebuilding trust, not on the quicksand of control and compliance, but on the solid rock of mutual respect and emotional literacy. It's a difficult, painful process of unlearning, but it is possible. Understanding this dynamic is not about anger, it's not about hate, it's not about men versus women. It's about healing. It's about bringing a dark, painful pattern into the light. Emotional freedom begins with awareness. It's the moment you realize that the leash you've been wearing was one you were allowing to be put on. And it's the moment you realize you have the power to gently and firmly take it off. You have the right to a love that is based on admiration, not on fear, on connection, not on control, on partnership, not on ownership. You deserve to feel safe in your own home, in your own heart. And it all starts with this quiet, late night understanding. The simple, powerful act of seeing the truth. If this message resonated with you, share it. Someone out there might need to hear it tonight.